Kyle, why are you so high on the Buccaneers this year? And I think it's kind of obvious, but go ahead anyways.
Yeah, I mean, it's very rare that you see a team bring back 22 starters from a Super Bowl champion.
Mhm.
That's exactly what Tampa Bay did here. They have all of the pieces back. They still got young players on this team that I think can get even better too. I don't know if it's going to be a better team than the end of season last year, but I think that they can get better. OJ Howard's back too. I think there's a lot to this team to like. Um, I mean, look, you just look at this roster. There's nothing bad about it. You look at there's not a weakness to this team. I think they can be good just about everywhere, and they're great in a lot of areas. Tampa Bay is an NFC contender. They might be the Super Bowl favorite. I don't know if they're going to go back to back, but they're certainly going to be in the conversation. I have them at number one in the NFC South.
Yeah. Let's talk about the two main guys of Bruce Arians. He was 13th in our coaching rankings. He's not an exceptional coach, but the one thing I say is that I think he deserves a lot of credit for the Super Bowl championship of just turning the culture around. And when he came in, it kind of felt, okay, this is the guy who has had established success in the NFL. He's someone that you can expect can do well. He might not be the best at X's and O's. It drives me crazy as as an analytics guy. The fact that he clearly is not, that does drive me crazy at times. But there's a reason why TB12 came to Tampa Bay, and a big part of it was because of the work Bruce Arians had done the year before, turning it into a perennial loser to a team that was a quarterback away from winning. And yeah, like with Tom Brady, he's a tier 1 quarterback even at 44 years old.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think the system was purely Bruce Arians' system, and I don't think the system was purely what we saw Tom Brady do a lot with New England, too. I thought what they did really well, especially by the end of the season. Once they hit that last bye week, I felt like, and made some adjustments, I felt like this was the perfect marriage of the two systems that felt so polar opposite at the beginning of the year. And I thought they really figured out how to stretch the ball downfield while also exposing mismatches and, reading coverages a lot better like Brady likes to do. So I thought this was a nice marriage between the two systems by the end of the year, and I think they should hit the ground running this season and be just fine.
Yeah. So Tom Brady threw 40 touchdowns last year. I guess over under 39 and a half touchdowns this year.
I mean, I'll take the under, but I think they're going to be fine overall. They're going to throw the ball, though. They're going to have plenty of options to throw to, as we're going to talk about here.
Yeah, I'll say over. Screw it. I'll go full homer. Yeah, I think I'll throw 70 touchdowns. No, but I think I'll say he throws 40 again. How about that? The worst part of this team is the running back room. Although they have a lot of guys now. You have Leonard Fournette, who playoff Lenny. You got Ronald Jones, who really is just a runner. He doesn't do too much else well. Horrible pass blocker. Keyshawn Vaughn, who I was excited to see last year, didn't get a lot of playing time. And then they added Giovanni Bernard, who they want to make us a pass catcher. It's interesting because I do feel like you have Ronald Jones, who's a runner. You have Bernard, who's a pass catcher. And you have Fournette, who's he's turned himself into a good blitz pick protector towards the end of the season. If you could just combine them all three into one player, they'd be really good.
Yeah. I think this job is begging to be taken by Keyshawn Vaughn. I continue to say I think he's going to be good. I really liked him in college. I think the hardest thing for rookie running backs to pick up, and one of the reasons why it definitely affected Clyde Edwards-Helaire in Kansas City, and I think it also affected Vaughn, is blitz pickup. Like you said, I think that's a big thing, and that's why Leonard Fournette was on the field at the end of the season, because Brady trusted him to pick up blitz. If Vaughn can do that, I think he's going to get a ton of playing time because I think he is supremely talented. So yeah, I mean, I think this job is kind of begging to be taken by somebody else. I think Leonard is good enough, though, is the thing.
Yeah, and that's the nice thing is it is kind of a low floor. I do have it as a tier 5 room. But if you're going to be bad in one area in football, running back room, probably that area to be bad.
Yeah. I mean, they don't have to worry about it too much. And I think one of the things we saw is the style they play. I mean, you can criticize not running the ball on first down all the time. They start to wear teams down, though. They wear defenses down, and they ran the ball pretty well in the playoffs, too, because of it, because they were just wearing opponents down and then getting big gains.
Yeah, well, I would also argue a big part of why they're able to have success in the ground game at times is because of what you have to deal with over the top. Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Antonio Brown. Those are the three. Antonio Brown was the best wide receiver in football 3 years ago. Now he's their third option. You have Scotty Miller and Tyler Johnson as depth guys. You have for tight ends, OJ Howard, Rob Gronkowski, Cameron Brate. This is a loaded receiving core. This is the best receiving option room in football.
Yeah, and part of also the helping the running back is having Gronkowski and OJ Howard out there too that can block as well. That's another thing to add to it. Is this the best vertical wide receiving option in the league?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, with Scotty Miller out there, it's insane. We saw in that Green Bay Packers play. The coverage was bad, but at the same time, they sent all those guys deep, and the secondary just freaked out. They didn't know what to do with that.
There was a reason why Kevin King was on Scotty Miller. It's because they didn't want to have him on Mike Evans or Chris Godwin.
Yeah. So, I mean, they just throw those guys deep, and it's so hard to cover all three of them. All of them, are quick. All of them have great hands. All of them can win 50-50 balls. And then you have Antonio Brown just coming across the middle for, a nice 20-yard game too. He can also do that. So I think all those options are really good. I think they're deep there, and I think it's, I think it's a dangerous team.
Yeah, I mean, what? Their fourth best deep option is Chris Godwin.
Yeah.
That's what we're dealing with. I mean, it's ridiculous. We've never seen a team with this many options. And as someone who I believe these games are won on the outside, well, I think Tampa Bay winning the Super Bowl last year is a big testament to that. Although, if you want to say they're won in the trenches, you can say that as well, because this is not a team that is particularly bad with their offensive line. In fact, that's tier 1 as well. The weak spot is Donovan Smith, who's solid. He's not a bad tackle. It's the weirdest thing in sports. They paid a bad left tackle top 5 tackle money, and then all of a sudden he became a good player. Very bizarre. Tristan Wirfs had a great rookie season at right tackle last year. For guards, Alex Kappa, and then Ali Marpet, who's been one of the better guards in the league for quite some time now, and Ryan Jensen, a very good center as well. There's no weakness here. Part of it, I wonder how much Tom Brady helps these guys. It's clearly some, but they're good regardless. This is a tier 1 offensive line.
I mean, I think he's helped a lot, and I think Rob Gronkowski's helped a lot, and I think Leonard Fournette has helped a lot. I think all of those guys contributed to the pass blocking. It's not just the 5 guys up front. Wirfs is looking more and more like the best pick in the draft. If you want to go by first round picks, I mean, Justin Jefferson, obviously in the conversation too, the quarterbacks as well. But I mean, he's insane. He was in really good. He was the best tackle I thought from the first year of those. One of the things we always said was that it was a 4 tackle draft class. He's looking like the best of the bunch, and I think they got him last too, didn't they?
Yep.
So
they traded up 1 spot to get him.
Yeah. So I mean, I thought that was a good pick, great pick, and he's looking like an absolute stud on that team.
Yeah. So offense, I have 3rd best offense in football. There's a little bit of ways you could, only the Cleveland Browns and the Tennessee Titans I have as better, and that's they have tier 1 running back rooms, where the Bucs have a tier 5, but still the 3rd best offense in football. This is a loaded team, and even again, while I do have the running back room as tier 5, there's still guys here. So, and not to mention all of the depth they have here. It's a good, as long as Tom Brady doesn't fall off a cliff, this is a really good offense.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to be just fine. I mean, he could even slip a little bit, and I still think they're going to be really good offensively. So, yeah, I mean, I think it's a really deep and talented group, and why people are picking them to win the Super Bowl again.
Yeah. The weakness of this team, we'll go over to defense now. The big weakness of this team, I'd probably say, is their coverage, which isn't even bad. I have it as tier 3. You have Carlton Davis, who's their best man corner, not the fastest, but does everything else very well. Jamel Dean, I mean, honestly, maybe you can make the argument that Dean should be that, that number 1 corner. He is very good. He's got the speed to, really be on an island. And you have Sean Murphy-Bunting, who really came alive in the postseason and is even solid in the regular season. Safeties, Antoine Winfield Jr., who, could have been Defensive Rookie of the Year last year. Jordan Whitehead, who was very good as well. And Mike Edwards, who doesn't play a lot, but is typically good when he plays, did intercept Drew Brees in the playoff game. Not to mention Levante David, and then Devin White, who did start to clean up his coverage issues a little bit during that playoff run. It's a tier 3 coverage unit, largely because, their corners, I'm not sure if they have like the elite guys, but they definitely have, they're a team that they can, for the most part, there's depth here, and they, can cover everybody at least somewhat well. So I have it as tier 3.
Yeah, I mean, and I mean, I think Pro Football Focus actually had them as the eighth best coverage unit or secondary in the league.
Hmm.
So they're a little bit higher on it than you are. I think you're a little harsh on it, but yeah, I mean, I guess you could say the lack of a true number one guy is what hurts it. But I think they have three good cornerbacks that I can trust, and then they have two really good safeties. I feel like I really like this group overall. David's obviously a monster in coverage. White's better, but he's more of the run guy, but he can do a little bit of everything. This is a really good group.
Yeah, well, I mean, I have him as 12th, so I actually have him as just one spot away from tier two. But I would say where this team has clearly had struggles last year was in zone coverage. I mean, watch that the Saints Sunday night game. Still gives me nightmares of they just did not know what they're doing. I think that's still a fair criticism to put on this coverage unit.
Yeah, I think maybe the momentum and what they did in the playoffs what might change some things. I think that that could carry them into this season and look awesome again.
Yeah, I think it's an above average unit is what I say. Now we'll move over to the front seven. This is where this team really shines on defense, and I am someone who I prefer building from the back front. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers have gone the opposite route with their defense, but they still have a solid secondary. You have Vita Vea, who is incredible. You have Sue and Will Goldson as the other interior guys. The edge, Jason Pierre-Paul, Shaq Barrett. And then for linebackers, David and White. It's the best run defense in football, in my opinion. Tier one there, and it's still a tier one pass rush unit, which puts this defense at seventh best in football because I do value coverage highly, but still a very good defense. And when you pair that with the third best offense, also tier two kicker with Ryan Suckup, I have this as a 13.92 win football team. It's a very good team.
Yeah, I mean they're loaded overall. I think all of those players are really good. They're all really productive. My affinity for Devin White has been well documented on this podcast. He's just electric to lost at linebacker. I guess maybe the one criticism you could have is there are some questions about the depth of the group, but at the same time, I still feel pretty good about it. I also like Joe Treon, the guy they drafted too. I think he might be able to make an impact too right away. So overall, it's an awesome group, and they're going to be really good next season.
Yeah, so I have this team as the best in the NFC and the second best in football. I still do have the Cleveland Browns higher than them. Also, my the battery on my headphones is about to die, so I have to change that real quick. So if you can kill a minute while I do that, that would be great.
Yeah. So yeah, we're talking a little bit about Tampa Bay. I do think they are going to be awesome this next season. I think that they have talent across the board, and there's not really anything you can talk about. I think that it could be interesting to see this team next season, and I think Devin White could take an even further leap into becoming maybe the best linebacker in football. And then all of a sudden we're having a conversation of, is he defensive player of the year with the rest of this group? I think that this team could, like I said, there's young players on this team I think can get even better. I can't hear you. Did you reconnect your mic?
Here we go. I
All
took
right.
my mic off when I went to change it, so I didn't make background noise, and then forgot to turn it back on. All right, so we're good. I hope you didn't, make fun of me while my headphones were off.
No, I said is my question and or my thought, and I'll pass it as a question to you. A little bit of outsider chance, maybe a little sprinkle on the gambling books. Devin White, Defensive Player of the Year. What do you think?
No,
Just don't trust a linebacker to win the award?
I don't trust the linebacker to win the award. I also don't trust Devin White to win the award. I mean, I get it. He makes splash plays, and definitely he gets more recognition. I guess it's possible, but I don't know. I think that he's not even the best linebacker on his team. I think it would be. I could see it happening in one of those years where like he totally doesn't deserve it, but ends up winning it due to like a narrative.
It could be. Yeah. I also just think he still has room to grow, and I think he's going to get even better in coverage. I mean, you just look at him play with his speed, with his, nose for the football. There's no reason he should be bad in coverage. I think he's going to continue to get better at it, and he'll
Hmm.
become even good in coverage, I think. And then, one of the things I talked about with the secondary too, it's all young guys. I think the secondary can get even better. This defense, I think, is going to be a lot better than it was last year. And last year it was pretty good.
Yeah.
MV is going to be healthy the whole year, hopefully, knock on wood, which just adds even more to this team.
Yeah, no, I mean he definitely matters as well. Interesting. So, shall we get into the? And again, I think their defense is very good as well.